And in international news, Iran's supreme leader insists the U.S. gained nothing from strikes on its nuclear facilities in his first public address since a ceasefire with Israel. We're live on TV3 Ghana, on Facebook, all across the world on 3news.com. Let's bring you the details now. Corruption continues to cost Ghana billions of cedis each year, weakening institutions and stalling national development. At the 2025 African Governance and Anti-Corruption Summit in Accra, political and legal leaders admitted that the country's anti-corruption systems are deeply flawed and called for urgent reforms. From asset declaration loopholes to the structure of the Attorney General's office, they say it is time for a total overhaul. My colleague Deborah Abamensa reports.
Corruption continues to drain Ghana's economy, with estimates suggesting the country loses over $9 million annually to corrupt practices. From inflated contracts to weak asset declaration systems, the cost is not just economic, it threatens national development and erodes public trust. At the 2025 African Governance and Anti-Corruption Summit held in Accra, the call was loud and clear: Ghana must fix its broken systems.
When corruption flourishes and limited resources are diverted in the manner that is happening, there can be no Ghana in future for the next generation. Therefore, I dare say enough is enough. The time to break the corruption chain is now.
The National Democratic Congress Chairman Johnson Esiedun Ketia blamed poor leadership for Ghana's deep-rooted corruption. He admitted that combining the roles of Attorney General and Minister for Justice was a major constitutional error.
We were wrong in combining the office of Attorney General and Minister of Justice, for instance. Because you could have Attorney General, and if he is the Minister of Justice, he sits in cabinet with his colleague ministers. All policies that are coming from the other sectors are cleared at cabinet. So it becomes very difficult for that same member of the government or cabinet to now seek to arrest or prosecute his colleagues.
On asset declaration, he criticized what he described as a deceptive process.
We all deceive ourselves that we are declaring our assets. But what you actually do is that you fill a piece of paper, put it in an envelope, and then you go and deposit it with the Auditor General. The law does not allow anybody to see it. And it cannot even be opened by the Auditor General until there is a court order.
Legal practitioner Martin Pebu also weighed in, acknowledging the shortcomings of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, but defending its relevance.
The Special Prosecutor has friends in Ghana, and you think he can deal with his friends as easily as non-friends? Oh, come on, you'll be kidding yourself if you put your destiny in one man's hands. It doesn't work that way. It is the way to go, because our experience too has shown that usually an Attorney General would not readily prosecute his own cabinet colleagues.
The summit brought together stakeholders across the continent to deliberate on solutions, but the consensus among speakers was clear. Without deep institutional reforms and real accountability, corruption will continue to rob Ghana of its future.
Let's continue this conversation on corruption a bit further. Let's go onto the phone lines now and speak with anti-corruption crusader Vitus Azim. Good evening, sir, and thank you for joining us on News 360.
Yeah, you're welcome.
From where you sit, why would you say we continue to lament over corruption-related offences, despite the measures instituted by government upon government, including even the setting up of the Office of the Special Prosecutor?
It's because the measures put in place are not working. One, we have a lot of laws in place. The enforcement is weak. We have a number of institutions to enforce those laws, but we are not seeing the results as expected. And that's why we continue to lament. And then, of course, when you look at the corruption indices that various institutions come out with, clearly we are not succeeding. And that's why we continue to lament over the corruption in the country.
And so what can we do to ensure that these measures that have been put in place work in order to curb some of these corruption-related issues?
You see, we should not continue to ask what should we do. We have a National Anti-Corruption Action Plan, which it was for 10 years. It expired last year, and they are thinking of coming out with a second version of it. But it's clear, public education, prevention. For the prevention, we have the laws, we have the institutions. The last one is in prompt investigations and prosecution, if need be. And that's where we have found wanting. We don't investigate corruption seriously. And when we investigate, we don't act on the findings of the investigations and the recommendations provided. That's why we have a problem, because when you are fighting corruption, you must make it very unproductive, unpalatable. But we are not able to make it unproductive and unpalatable. And so sometimes there's even impunity. People say, after all, Mr. A did it and that happened to him. So it has not happened to me. And so that is our main problem. It does not work because of the lack of enforcement of this. And you know, the enforcement is lacking because we politicize corruption. The fight against corruption, just like I said, should not be politicized. If we politicize it, we will not succeed in the fight.
Mr. Azim, speakers at the anti-corruption program also touched on the need to decouple the Office of the Attorney General and the Ministry of Justice. What do you make of all of this?
It's not a new thing. We've talked about this before. One time we held a workshop in Kokono Group Hotel. There were top, I think someone, what his full name was there. It was the same thing. You don't ask a politician to decide to prosecute his colleagues. We need an independent attorney general who would be a public prosecutor. But the politicians, they promise these things when they're in opposition. When they come into power, it's a different thing. And I can tell you what Nanado said. Nanado promised this, but when he won, so it requires, it's a constitutional provision, it requires an amendment. And he's left office after 8 years without bringing that constitutional amendment to Parliament or whatever. So there's no question about the need to decouple the two. Unfortunately, the politicians are benefiting from it. They don't want to push forward it, so when they come into power.
We're grateful for your time this evening, Mr. Azim. Vitus Azim is an anti-corruption crusader. Let's move on to some more stories this evening. The Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association has once again issued a firm ultimatum to government to either implement their conditions of service by the end of July or face possible industrial action. The renewed notice follows what the association describes as the unilateral suspension of a scheduled meeting involving government representatives, the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health, and the Ghana Registered Nurses Midwives Association. President of the association, Perpetual Ofori-Ampofo, addressed the media at the press conference in Accra.
The Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association suspended its strike on the 13th of June 2025 after the intervention by the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health. Another meeting was scheduled to take place on the 26th of June 2025, but was rescheduled because some of the stakeholders were not within the jurisdiction. This compelled the Parliamentary Select Committee to officially submit a letter of postponement of the meeting to the leadership of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. However, the leadership of the GNMA has expressed disappointment over the postponement of the meeting without prior notification. At a news conference, President of the Association, Perpetual Ofori-Ampofo, says the undesired outcomes marks of bad faith.
The rescheduling of the meeting, in our view, is in bad faith, since it may further delay the implementation of the agreed items. We have, however, decided to give the committee the benefit of hindsight and still trust that their engagement with the Ministries of Health and Finance will be productive.
She urged government to immediately ensure the fuel and uniform allowance, book and research allowance, and 8% non-basic allowance are fulfilled.
Demand the implementation of the 4 agreed items not later than July 2025. This is non-negotiable, and we shall advise ourselves if any attempt is made to further delay the implementation.
The GRNMA maintains that failure to honor its long-standing demands by July 2025 could lead to further action.
We demand that these timelines are clearly captured and signed off at the 10th July 2025 meeting to avoid any ambiguity in the implementation schedule. For the union makes us strong.
Meanwhile, the Health Committee of Parliament has reiterated its commitment to ensuring that the concerns of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association are addressed by the government. The assurance comes after a scheduled meeting between the association and the Ministers for Health and Finance, initially set for today, was postponed to July 10, 2025, due to the absence of both ministers from the country.
As we speak now, the demands of the nurses have been converted into monetary terms. And there's a need for a preliminary meeting between the Ministry of Health, the Health Committee, and the Ministry of Finance to discuss the outcome of the analysis. However, the Minister of Health and the Minister of Finance, they are unavoidably absent from the jurisdiction. The committee therefore thought it prudent to inform the Nurses Association of the above development. I want to use this opportunity to reassure the nurses that the Health Committee, their own committee, and for that matter, Parliament, will continue to advocate for them. We are their representatives, and we represent them. We also represent the patients and all other citizens of Ghana who will continue to work in our collective interests. I want to thank the Nurses Association for their understanding and cooperation. The next meeting has been rescheduled to the 10th of July 2025.
We are still staying in Parliament, but moving away from health. The minority has announced plans to summon the management of the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, to justify the recently announced 2.45% increase in electricity tariffs effective July 1, 2025. The group says key economic indicators such as gas prices, the exchange rate and inflation have remained relatively stable and therefore do not warrant an upward adjustment in electricity prices.
Gas price has not gone up. Exchange rate is going down. These are some of the factors. Exchange rate, the highest for this year was, I think, $15.527. Okay, that was the highest in this year. The lowest was 10.20. Currently, exchange rate is 10.30. So, why increasing? And inflation rate. Okay, these are the three factors. The inflation as at March was 22.4%. April was 21.2%. May, 18.4%. And then June, the research says is going to be around 16%. So all the three factors, it has to be an increase because all the factors are going down. So we urge PURC to come up and explain to Ghanaians. And I'm going to also inform my chairman, that's the committee chairman, to summon PURC to come to the committee and come and explain to us. We can't accept this. All of a sudden, you just say you are increasing electricity tariffs to 2.45%. Without any explanation.
Let's take you to the courts now, because the High Court has set July 3 to rule on a motion by lawyers of the embattled former director of National Signals Bureau, Kwabena Edubuahin, regarding the disclosure of all national security coordinators' operational accounts. Kwabena Edubuahin, his wife Angela Ejeboateng, and 2 others have been charged for allegedly stealing over 49 million cedis from the state. Lord Edu Asare reports.
Lawyers of Kwabena Edubuahin, led by Samuel Atachian on Thursday, June 26, indicated to the court that they had filed a motion for further disclosures on June 23 and prayed the court to move same since they had already served the Attorney General's office. In the motion filed by the defense lawyers, they are requesting for the details of the National Security Coordinator's operational accounts from 1992 to date, which entails the tenures of 5 presidents, including former President Jerry John Rawlings and former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Samuel Atachian argued that the AG had disclosed matters that border on national security to advance their case and had left out some details, hence their motion. But Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Remsai, leading the prosecution, opposed the motion, citing irrelevance to the case against the former National Signals Bureau director. He argued that the case against Kwabena Edubuahin, Angela Ejeboateng, Mildred Donko and the company bordered on the allegation that they had moved funds from a particular government account into a private company which they had incorporated within a particular period. He added that the defense lawyers declined the opportunity when they were asked to file their disclosures and urged the court to dismiss the motion. Justice Eugene Nyaju-Nante then adjourned the proceedings to July 3 to rule on the motion filed by the lawyers of Kwabena Edubuahin. Samuel Atachian spoke after the proceedings.
We have filed processes that these processes are exculpatory of us. And the law says that whatever the evidence, the Attorney General should bring it to bear on the proceedings. The Attorney General is fighting off evidence which will aid fair trial. I was sorely disappointed. But we leave it to the judge to look at the processes we filed. The fact that the Attorney General didn't file an affidavit in opposition, the fact that the Attorney General has not even read the motion and still wanted to go on.
He did also say that Edubuahin has not declared his assets. What are your comments on that?
It's up to him. It's up to him to go on that route. He said it before, but we don't want to comment on it. It's up to him. Whether he believes that the life of Edubuahin from the time he was born to now is what is on trial, we'll see.
Kwabena Edubuahin, Angela Ejeboateng, Mildred Donko and Advantage Solutions Limited are facing 11 counts of conspiracy to commit crime, stealing, using public office for profit, money laundering, and causing financial loss to the state. They have all pleaded not guilty and are on bail. Lord Edu Asare, TV3 News, Accra.
Moving away from the courts, the Vice President, Professor Jenano Poku-Agyemang, has stressed the need for individuals and communities who suffer the consequences of drug addiction not to be neglected, as addressing substance use disorders requires compassion. She was speaking to mark International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Drug Trafficking here in Accra.
About the increasing cases of drug abuse among young people, with the Narcotics Control Commission, NACOC, citing it as a public health and national security threat if the situation is not checked. Director General of the Commission, Brigadier General Maxwell Buba Mante, cautioned that Ghana is not a safe haven for drug trafficking, calling for a change in strategy and prevention instead.
Prevention is not charity, but a key strategy. It is the smartest, most cost-effective way to break the cycle of addiction, crime, and despair that characterize illicit drugs and trade proliferation. Evidently, every city we invest in prevention saves lives, preserve futures, and protects our national integrity.
He stressed the need for a collective action to address the issue in order to safeguard the future of the youth. The Vice President, Professor Nana Jenano Poku-Agyemang, said Ghana has made significant gains in the fight against conventional narcotic drugs such as cocaine, heroin and cannabis through demand and supply reduction interventions. However, drug trafficking and organized crime syndicates have shifted to include synthetic opioids, and Ghana can therefore not be passive in its approach, noting practical and preventive solutions are being invested to address the root causes of drug abuse.
Permit me to commend the Narcotics Control Commission for their dedication. The destruction of over 16 metric tons of seized drugs just last week is proof that we are active in this fight. Every gram destroyed is potentially a life saved.
She emphasized the need not to neglect individuals and communities who suffer the consequences of addiction, noting substance use disorders requires compassion.
The directive from the Honorable Minister for the Interior to operationalize the Substance Use Disorder Rehabilitation Fund, as provided in the Narcotics Control Commission Act, is a commendable move. Vulnerable communities are made to suffer and are sometimes forced to turn to criminal activities simply to survive. These activities are also contributing to deforestation, dumping of toxic waste, and chemical pollution.
The chief of Akwamo, Odenehon Kwafo Akoto III, promised to release 100 acres of land to NACOC to establish its training school for the fight against illicit drug trafficking.
Minister of Education Haruna Idrisu is calling for greater investment in science, engineering and mathematics. Speaking at the inauguration of the Governing Council of Sunyani Technical University, the minister said strengthening these fields is key to driving national development and giving the youth a competitive edge in today's job market.
Engineering is deemed extremely relevant in our quest for technological advancement as a country. Sitting here personally, I have no fear of contradiction that the future of our country hinges on training young people more in the area of science, mathematics, and engineering. That is what it should be, and you are really positioned to do that. My understanding is that you are one and among few institutions that have respected the regulatory and accreditation directives of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. So keep it up. In terms of your respect to the rules and regulations, I hear you are one among the few standing very high there. I'm also aware of your request to expand, particularly looking at the new niche area of pre-engineering. I would therefore invite the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission to work with you to see how we get that done for Sunyani Polytechnic.
And now, as part of its 60th anniversary celebrations, the Agricultural Development Bank, ADB, has chosen to partner with Media General, praising the media group's consistency, innovation, and commitment to impactful storytelling. The bank says the collaboration aligns with its renewed focus on excellence, digital transformation, and customer-centered service.
Marking 60 years of service, ADB is setting its sights on future with a strong promise of innovation, improved customer experience, and competitive performance. The bank's managing director says Media General was chosen as a strategic partner due to its bold shift from traditional to modern media, consistently delivering content that connects with Ghanaians. ADB is launching the new Service Excellence Charter to ensure every customer, both existing and potential, experience a clear difference in how the bank serves. Managing Director of ADB, Edward Atosapon, stated the relevance of this partnership.
Media General, because we looked at the various landscape, and in our thinking, they have the widest reach. They have all the platforms that we are looking for, whether it's English speaking, whether it's Cree speaking. They are on all the channels, whether it's digital, whether it's analog. So we thought that the right place to go is Media General. And more importantly, we are here because of their consistency in delivering programs and content that resonates with the people. I think that they've been courageous enough to shift from the old to the new, and they are doing excellently well. And I think the conviction with which they execute their programs are things that we associate with. That is why we think that the right place to be is Media General.
He also added that a key part of the bank's development is digital transformation, expanding ATMs, post terminals, and mobile banking platforms to meet the needs of today's fast-paced world.
We are guaranteeing them excellence. We have just launched our service excellence charter to ensure that customers who walk into any ADB branch or are customers of ADB branch, whether existing or potential, see a difference in terms of service. We are also about launching our digital transformation program. That is basically to move the bank from the brick and mortar into their palm, so that on your mobile phone you can be able to do whatever you want to do on your mobile phone. We are expanding our digital reach, so our ATMs, our point of sales channels, and all of that are being expanded. We are changing our culture in terms of the way we do things, moving from a typical agric-oriented bank to a truly universal bank.
With its goal of becoming one of Ghana's top 3 banks in the next 3 years, ADB is inviting the public to rediscover the bank, promising to exceed expectations and deliver lasting value.
In some more news this evening, the Managing Director for Properties at Rehoboth Social Limited, William Sasu, has denied allegations of power theft at its Kweyman estate, describing the claims as misleading and harmful. The company says it neither handles electrical installations nor owns the block factory mentioned in the report, and has assured its full cooperation with the Electricity Company of Ghana on all meter-related matters.
Of Damfa Kweyman, Rehoboth Heavens is introducing a modern, community-focused housing project that blends innovation, green spaces, and sustainable living. Spread across 80 acres, the development features a mix of homes, commercial areas, and an open space designed for connected lifestyle. Phase 1, with 110 houses, is already completed, with Phase 2, set to deliver 124 more houses, is ongoing. Speaking to the media, Rehoboth Social Housing Managing Director William Sasu dismissed recent power theft allegation at the Kweyman estate as false and damaging to the company's reputation.
First and foremost, let me say that Rehoboth applied to the Managing Director of Electricity Company of Ghana for meters way back in April 2023. Indeed, to make sure that our letter receives attention, we copied the then Minister of Energy and also copied the Director of Power at the Ministry of Energy. At the moment, what has happened is that ECG, noticing that some persons have already got meters, they've come to connect them. There's no problem at all. We have also acquired a transformer, and soon all the estate will have its own transformer. We are not going to depend on the public transformer at all. We are going to have our own transformer. A few meters have been supplied since, and they are also working on the rest. I think now they use some contractors and things like that to work on their meters for us. So work is ongoing, as I said, and we shall continue to cooperate fully and work with them. This exercise we are doing here is not an accusation at all. We are only trying to also engage the press to let them know our side of the story. It is not an accusation at all. We are working in close collaboration with ECG to ensure that we get electricity for our estate.
Rehoboth Properties Limited is among several real estate developers in the Greater Accra region, providing affordable housing solutions for Ghanaians locally and in the diaspora.
Let's take you to the Foreign Affairs Ministry now, because the sector minister, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, says engagements are ongoing between Ghana and the U.S. government to ensure Ghana is taking off the list of some 36 countries to be banned from entering the U.S. According to the minister, some Ghanaian citizens have overstayed their visa limits, prompting the U.S. government to place Ghana on the list. We're going on to Zoom now to speak with my colleague Martin Esiedu-Date, who also doubles as our foreign affairs correspondent. He's live at the media engagement. He's going to give us more. Martin, good evening to you. What more can you report on this? we seem to be having challenges with Martin's Zoom. We'll try and get back to Martin and then bring more on that particular engagement at the Foreign Ministry. This is News 360. We're going for a short break. We'll return with much more. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Menu Afo joins us with some business news. Menu, what do you have for us?
Well, the tax expert is criticizing governments, not this government. I mean, all governments across
for, charging citizens for the inefficiencies of state-owned enterprises. We have details of that.
Bring us the details.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the business segments on News 360. I am Menu Afol. So the Associate Professor of Tax Law and Policy at the University of Ghana, Professor Abdallah Ali Nachia, has criticized the government's approach to addressing institutional inefficiencies. Professor Ali made these remarks at a stakeholder forum organized by the Media Foundation for West Africa, themed Hidden Riches, Hollow Laws, dissecting the loopholes that fuel corruption in Ghana.
When government introduced 1 cedi per litre, I said, no way. Why should citizens pay for inefficiency? And a lot of people, why are you talking like that? I said, why was ESLA levy instituted? Who has told that how ESLA is performing? What is in there? How much has been collected? Why introduce? Because like I said, in every situation that comes, whether financial, economic, health, is avenue for corruption. And if it's an inefficiency of ECG trying to raise revenue from people consuming their product, don't levy it on the ordinary citizen. And what happened a few weeks ago? A whole estate, over 2,000 housing units are not paying electricity. So we were going to pay 1 cedi per litre for their consumption. You saw what happened in cantonments, Ghana water issue. Yeah. And they said we are using borehole, and they realized that they were using their treated water for several years. So why should inefficiencies be thrown onto? Because once you don't chase for accountability, people will continue doing it because others will pay for their misdeeds.
In more news tonight, the Food and Beverages
Accountability, people will continue doing it because others will pay for their misdeeds.
The recent electricity tariff hike could undermine its ongoing efforts to reducing prices for consumers. According to Executive Chairman Reverend John Awuni, the price cuts initiative launched in response to the cedi's appreciation against major trading currencies may be truncated due to the tariff increase.
You look at since the cedi started performing very well against the dollar, I have been at the forefront advocating and then also encouraging the business community to reduce their prices. And indeed, for members of food and beverages, we have records of prices of goods going down. Water, rice, sugar, and most of our general commodities have seen a downward trend. But with this thing that is coming up, I wonder how many people will have the courage to generally increase. The tariff, the percentage may look very small, 2 point something, but when you look at it in terms of numbers, that's going to translate into huge bills, and that's going to increase the cost of production. And so, I don't think that the trend of price reductions will continue if the government doesn't really suspend this particular tariff adjustment.
And now, Omni Basic Bank is reinforcing its commitment to health and wellness with the 8th edition of its flagship Health Walk. The initiative, which started just a year ago in response to the post-COVID health concerns, has grown into a major social and wellness event. This edition is said to be full of social network and businesses collaboration network.
It began as a simple idea to promote fitness through walking, but what started in 2023 as a modest initiative by Omni Basic Bank has now evolved into a highly anticipated annual health and social event. Now in its 8th edition, the Omni Basic Health Walk continues to gain traction among Ghanaians.
We realized that after the COVID especially, and so many people were getting ill for one reason or the other, we realized that our friends and our loved ones were getting sick. They were getting diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and the like. We discussed how we as a bank could help our staff and the general public to improve on their health. And we realized that exercise was one of the main ways we could help.
Since its inception, the health walk has seen changes not just in location, but in scale and impact. But it's not just about the walk.
This is all about the 8th edition of the Omni Basic Health Walk happening live this Saturday at the Lagos Sports Stadium at exactly 5 o'clock a.m. Currently, you can see the aerobic session going on. It's all about fitness. We are entreating all of you to join us.
Participants describe it as more than a fitness event.
It's been beneficial for a lot of our customers and the community as a whole. It's an opportunity to network, but more importantly, for our general well-being, for us to get whole and well through this walk.
The health walk will start from the University of Ghana Stadium on Saturday, 28th June 2025 at 5:30 a.m.
Let's now look at how the cedi is faring against other trading currencies and how some of our key commodities are also faring on the global market. And that's it for Business Tonight on News 360. I am Menu Afo. Stay with us. More news comes up next. Welcome back to News 360. We have some sports news now, and Oreku has joined us. Oreku, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. We're hearing something about the refurbishment of the Accra Sports Stadium. How's that going?
Yes, so if you remember, 2024 was quite rough because Ghana had some issues with stadiums and, new Director General of the NSA, Yakubu Ankara, doesn't want a repetition of that. And so even ahead of the matches in September, they've already started works.
Yeah, we want them to qualify. We don't want it to
no
be
excuses.
the excuse.
Yes, no problems here at all.
Give us more details.
So we'll head into that story pretty shortly. But before we do so, Ghana winger Mohamed Fusseini has expressed immense pride after making his Black Stars debut in the 2025 Unity Cup in London, United Kingdom. The young forward not only wore the jersey for the first time, but also got on the score sheet as Ghana beat Trinidad and Tobago by 4-0. In an exclusive interview with 3 Sports, the Union Saint-Gilloise forward reflected on his experience with the Black Stars.
I was really excited and I was ready. I was always ready for that moment. And then, as you see how I played, I was ready for that moment and the opportunity given to me.
And he's found Ayu, beautifully moved. What a goal this would be! What a goal it is!
Before the game, when I knew I was starting, I knew I was gonna score because it was a special moment for me, and I also had to push to make it more special to get a goal. And then I did, and I was really happy about that. When he gave me the ball, I just had to take my touch quickly and then shoot it away from the goalkeeper and also the defenders. Because when I had it, I saw them. In my position, so it was important for me to go out there and then give out my best performance.
Let's do some more stories where the National Sports Authority is pushing ahead with refurbishing the Accra Sports Stadium pitch ahead of the Black Stars' crucial World Cup qualifier against Mali in September later this year. National Sports Authority Director General Yakubu Ankara provides an update on the progress so far and challenges facing the project, including funding delays and ongoing safety assessments.
What has happened is that, yes, the plan is to ensure that the pitch is up to the standard that FIFA and CAF would pass when the inspection happens. But obviously, we've also be mindful of the timetable that we have for domestic sports. So the National Sports Authority is closely engaged with the units that is in charge of the pitch maintenance, and that is Greengrass Technology. They've made several recommendations, and core at the top of that list is that the pitch must be given enough time to resuscitate, to allow them to do the necessary work. So the update is that the Greengrass Technology have given us an updated request that the pitch be allowed to breathe between now and after the President's Cup. So that is where we are at the moment, and we will strictly adhere to that because they are the ones who are maintaining the pitch, and they are the experts that we brought in to give us those, guidelines.
And so that was Yakubu Ankara, who is the Director General of the National Sports Authority. Now, before we go, let's get some updates from Group G action in the Club World Cup in the United States. It's still match day 3, and Manchester City currently lead Juventus by 2-1. And more on our social media handles at 3SportsGH. My name is Ore Kwampofu, and that's how we wrap up the sports segment here on News 360.
Entertainment news this evening. The Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, Ablagofa Jimashi, has paid a courtesy visit to high life music legend Ejako Onimo at his residence in Kumasi. The visit forms part of President Mahama's commitment to ensure the welfare and dignity of elderly citizens, particularly those who have made significant contributions to Ghana's cultural and creative heritage.
Speaking during the visit, Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts Minister Ablachifa Gumashi acknowledged Ejako Onimo's invaluable role in shaping Ghana's musical identity and reaffirmed the government's pledge to support aging creatives. Ejako Onimo, revered as the king of palm wine music, was lauded for his pioneering role in highlife music, blending traditional rhythms with modern sounds. The minister recalled President Mahama's call to action at the launch of the Black Star Experience, where he charged her to organize a ceremony to honor the Ghanaian music legend Ejako Onimo for his tremendous contribution towards Ghana's highlife music and cultural transformation.
And at that launch, he did ask, where is Ejako Onimo? you should visit him. Let's honor them whilst they're here. I have had sleepless nights thinking about what to do exactly. Now, we don't know when we are born, and we don't know when we leave. And so I thought that whilst we plan how to do the celebration for the seniors in the sector, our forefathers, and those on whose shoulders we are standing, it would be proper to come here today just to say, good morning, sir, and to check how you're doing, and revert and let the president know that we've at least seen him since he made that declaration on that stage.
The team presented a hamper and donated an undisclosed amount of money to the musical icon. Elated by the gesture, Yakubu expressed his deep gratitude to President Mahama and the ministry for the recognition.
Richards, take these chains from my eyes and let me see. Media say, Nana, take these chains from my feet and let me walk. And him say,
The music legend believes that recognizing individuals who over the years have contributed to the entertainment industry is spot on and would serve as a morale booster for the younger creatives.
And that's courtesy call by Abla Gomashi, Tourism Minister to Yakubu. Let's move on to some more entertainment news this evening. It's that time of the year again when bold, beautiful and intelligent women step forth to own the Ghana's most beautiful stage. The GMB audition trade made its first stop in Kumasi last Wednesday, where dozens of hopefuls gathered at the McLean Hotel to compete for a spot in this year's competition. Are you bold, eloquent, confident, and culturally informed? Grab the opportunity to audition as the audition trade makes its final stop on Friday, June 27, 2025 in Accra at the TV3 premises. Look your best in a stylish GTP skirt, white tank top, and comfortable heels. Grab this golden opportunity to represent your region. Audition starts at 8 a.m. sharp. Let's now bring you some international news.
29 children who were taking their school exams in the Central African Republic have been killed in a crash after a nearby explosion caused panic. The blast on the second day of the high school finals on Wednesday occurred at an electricity transformer, said Ibo Asif from the Bangui Community Hospital. The noise of the explosion combined with smoke caused alarm among the almost 6,000 students sitting the baccalaureate at a school in the capital Bangui local radio station in Deket Luka reported. President Faustin Ashantu Edera has declared a period of national mourning. He also ordered that the more than 280 who were wounded in the crash get free treatment in the hospital. Iran's supreme leader has insisted the U.S. gain no achievements from strikes on its nuclear facilities in his first public address since a ceasefire with Israel was agreed on Tuesday. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said the strikes did not accomplish anything significant to disrupt Iran's nuclear program and described the retaliation against an American airbase in Qatar as dealing a heavy blow. It came as Washington doubled down on its assessment that the strikes had severely undermined Iran's nuclear ambitions. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said intelligence gathered by the U.S. and Israel indicated the operation significantly damaged the nuclear program, setting it back by years.
And that's all for News 360 this evening. Remember, you can find more news on 3news.com. Thank you so much for spending the last 1 hour with us. I am Ayisha Yakubu. Good evening.